A study in which the queen is the star of the chessboard, by Gerhard Weber from the year 2000. And with that, welcome to the most beautiful chess problems of all time. Here we have a study. White clearly has a material advantage. Queen, 2 knights against this bishop. Black still has a few pawns, but nevertheless, in a normal course of the game, white should win this position. And that's why there's a little additional restriction. Namely, white mates in 2 moves and exactly 2 moves. So feel free to pause the video now and try to find the solution yourself. Now let's take a look at the solution. The queen may be the star on the chessboard, but first we need to take a look at the king. Namely, what escape squares does he actually have? And we notice not very many. The knight controls these 2 squares. Here, the pawn controls one of the escape squares. And the queen also controls a few squares. And while this king isn't currently in check, he can't really move. So if we manage to put him in check, it will also be checkmate at the same time. Yes, but first we need to find a good first move and somehow give a check. But that doesn't help. No, because then you'd love to give a check with the knight here. But yes, it would just be captured. Likewise, if the knight moves here, it would simply be taken. We need to find some kind of sensible waiting move. And let's take a look at the queen here. Right now she's on a8, completely in the corner of the board. And the best move here is actually to simply move the queen to the other corner. Queen to h1. And yeah, okay, let's figure out what black can actually do here. The first thing that might come to mind is, okay, white forgot to save their knight here. Let's just capture it with a bishop. What does the queen do then? She simply moves to the 3rd corner of the chessboard and checkmates the king. Let's take a look at that. Check given. Oops, it's not the pawn but the king who is blocking this square. The pawn controls the square. And this square is, coincidentally, also controlled by the knight. And yes, okay, this square itself is covered by the king and the king is simply checkmated. But now you might think, okay, if black has seen this once, then he won't be so foolish and move the bishop away from this h-file. So what else can black do? Let's take a look. Okay, that would be one possibility. b4 would be a possibility. But then we already know the move. Knight to c4, checkmate. What other possibilities are there? Something like f4 could also be played. But if f4 is played, then control over the e4 square is given up. White takes advantage of this elegantly and checkmates with the queen. e4, checkmate. Then there's also the tricky square. Yes, so let's take a structured look. The king can't move. We've looked at that pawn, we've looked at that pawn, we've looked at that pawn. The 2 pawns can't move. And this bishop here, if it moves, then the queen simply goes to h8. In other words, the only possible defensive move left would be d3. And now comes the fascinating part of this study. We've seen the queen on a1, on a8, on h1, and on h8, but we haven't seen her on a1 yet, and that's actually checkmate here. And with that, yes, the last variation of the solution. And with that, we've reached the end of today's video. If you enjoy studies like this, please feel free to leave a like. I came across this study thanks to a tip from the community. Thank you so much for that. Otherwise, feel free to write to me at neoplietsch@mail.de. You can also send me suggestions there if you like. I'd be happy about that and would love to take a look at them. And yes, I'd say we'll see each other again in the next video.